What's going on, everybody? Deacon here. And by the title of the video, yes, there are 3 types of people I think you will meet in the course of your lifetime. It's not a new concept, but the more I kept sitting with this, I was like, you know what? Let me record it because I keep seeing it play out in real life and online. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't about bashing anybody or anything like that. This is just an observation that I think a lot of people will recognize once I lay it out. And if you're honest with yourself, you'll probably see yourself in at least one of these categories at some point in your life, because I know I have. The first type is what I call who you desire, and I want to be specific about this word, because I'm not using it in the way most people use it. I'm not talking about attraction or infatuation. Those things can exist with any of these 3 types. What I mean by desire is the person who is not only good for you, but who makes you want to be good for yourself and for them. This is the person who you find yourself looking at in the mirror and asking, I don't know, but could this person be the one? Not out of insecurity, but because they inspire that kind of accountability in you just by being who they are. And here's the thing that separates this type from the others. It goes both ways. They're doing the same work. They're showing up the same way. They're not just asking you to carry something they're not willing to pick up themselves. Now, does that mean everything is perfect? Absolutely not. 2 people can be genuinely right for each other and still have to work through real things. But the difference is they're both working. In other words, no one has to worry about reciprocity in this relationship. That's desire. And honestly, a lot of people have never experienced this one. Not because they couldn't, but because they kept settling for the next 2. Now, I see this one more often than not. Your type is exactly what it sounds like. This is the person who fits whatever ideal, aesthetic, or energy that gets your attention every single time. And I mean every single time. You know exactly who I'm talking about. This is the person that the moment they walk in the room, something just clicks. The chemistry is undeniable, the attraction is immediate, and honestly, your brain kind of shuts off to any and all warning signs. And that's the problem. Because your type can be emotionally unavailable, they can be inconsistent, they can be flat out toxic, and somehow none of that matters in the moment because they check every physical or aesthetic box you've ever had. Now, I'm not here to tell you that physical attraction doesn't matter, because it does. But what I will say is this: attraction without foundation is just a feeling, and feelings without substance have an expiration date. The tricky part about your type is that the connection feels so real that it's easy to convince yourself that the red flags are temporary. That if you're just patient enough, or just understanding enough, or present enough, they'll eventually become what you need them to be. And maybe they will, but more often than not, your type stays exactly who they are. Because why would they change when your behavior keeps telling them they don't have to? Alright, this one is going to make some people uncomfortable, and if so, there's probably a reason for that. The placeholder is the person you keep around because they fill a void. Plain and simple. Maybe it's financial stability, maybe it's companionship, maybe it's physical, maybe it's just having somebody there so you don't have to sit with being alone. Whatever it is, the relationship exists because of what it provides, not because of genuine investment in who that person is or where things can actually go. Here's the part that stings a little. Sometimes you're the placeholder and you don't even know it. You think things are progressing, you think there's a real future being built, but somewhere on the other side of that relationship, there's a person who genuinely likes you, just not as much as you like them. And they're comfortable enough with what you provide to keep things going without ever being honest about where they actually stand. And that's not always malicious, by the way. Sometimes people don't even fully admit it to themselves. They'll tell themselves they're figuring it out or taking it slow. But if 3 years have passed and nothing has actually moved forward or any clear communication, that's not taking it slow. That's just being comfortable. And you may feel that you deserve more than comfortable. Now, I want to lean into this potential placeholder narrative a little bit longer. Many of you all may have seen the date, marry the nerd trend recently. It isn't new, but it's resurfaced in 2026. The idea is simple. Stop chasing the exciting, charismatic guy who keeps your emotions on a roller coaster. Choose the stable one, the reliable one, the one who actually shows up on the surface. That's not bad advice. Here's what nobody asks if they say it. Why are you choosing the good guy, the one with the sweet energy, or the nerd? Because there's a difference between choosing someone because they've genuinely become who you want and choosing someone because they're the responsible option when you're finally ready to settle down. One of those is a real choice, but the other is a placeholder with better credentials. For example, imagine there are two guys. The first I'll call Mr. R&B, not for music, not for rhythm and blues, but instead it stands for Rod and Boots, with hits like Blow Your Back Out and Tank on E. You know this man. He's exciting, fun in the moment, and great at sex. He's also in between jobs constantly, emotionally unavailable, and usually toxic. He hops from woman to woman and leaves drama behind wherever he goes. Then there's the good guy or nerd in this scenario. Stable, consistent, dependable. His life is actually together. He's not as thrilling, but he's there every time. So she makes the right decision, leaves Mr. R&B alone, and builds with something real with the nerd. Years later, kids, a home, a whole life. Then all of a sudden, Mr. R&B gets himself together. Not all the way, but enough. He's got a steady job now, his own place, and he's been to therapy. Yes, he still carries some of his old habits, but is better than before. Does she stay? Because if she chose the nerd because he became her type, because she genuinely grew into wanting what he offers, then Mr. R&B's improvements doesn't mean anything. The foundation holds. But if she chose the nerd because he was the right option when she was ready to stop the cycle, then that improvement is a problem, because what she wanted just got closer to what she has. And now there's a gap she can fill but can't fully explain. That's desire, type, and placeholder colliding in real time. And this connects to something else I've been sitting with. When people say don't date your type, what they usually mean is choose better long-term outcomes. That's the rational translation. But what a lot of men hear when they're on the receiving end of that advice is something different. What they hear is, you're not who I want, you're who I should pick. And that's not a small distinction. That's the difference between being chosen and being selected, being loved and being logical. Nobody wants to be somebody's correction. And here's why that matters. If the nerd ever suspects, even quietly, even without proof, that he was selected rather than chosen, that foundation starts to crack. Not loudly, just slowly. And that's exactly the crack Mr. R&B walks through when he shows up improved. So date, marry the nerd isn't bad advice, but it's incomplete advice, because the question was never really about who you chose, it's about why. And if you can't answer that honestly, the choice itself won't hold the weight you're putting onto it. Now listen, I'm not trying to pick on anyone. The point of laying out these three types isn't to make you feel good or bad about your relationship history. It's to give you a framework for being honest with yourself. Because most people already know which category their current or past relationships fall into. They just haven't said it out loud yet. So I'll ask you directly, who are you with right now and which category do they actually fall into? Not the category you want them to be in, not the category you're hoping they'll grow into. Right now, which one is it? And maybe more importantly, which category are you being for somebody else? Because this isn't a one-sided conversation. We've all been somebody's placeholder at some point. Some of us has chased our type way longer than we should have. And some of us, when a real desire showed up, got scared and walked away from it because it felt too unfamiliar. That's just me being honest. But I'll close with this. None of these categories are a life sentence. People grow, circumstances change, and someone who was a placeholder situation at 25 might be a completely different story at 35 for both people involved. But growth requires honesty first. And honesty requires you to stop letting how you feel about something override what you actually know to be true about the situation. Because at the end of the day, you can't build something real on a foundation you've been pretending is stronger than it actually is. You know what you have, you know what you want, and you make sure the two are actually the same thing. But that's it. That's all I have for you. Seeing these online is always interesting, and I've been sitting on this idea, this concept since January. The date, marry the nerd trend just was like, all right, I gotta put this out there because I just keep seeing the talking, the back and forth, people sharing their ideas, but it's not a new concept, and it will always go on. So then even if somebody's looking at this and be like, man, I'm tired of these conversations and so on and so forth, then you're just gonna have to log off, because people share their experiences, whether it's for clout, whether it's for attention, whether it's for validation. They're gonna keep sharing these things, and the saying there's nothing new under the sun will always be true. This is why I'm always a foundational thinker when it comes to certain concepts like this. It's always going to be true. It's just who's going to be bold enough to admit online in the public that they participate in these things that validates why people feel the way they do about whatever the topic is at hand. But yeah, that's it. So feel free to leave any comments in the comment section below. Just be respectful, and as always, be wise. And until I see you all next time, have a great day.